When you look at the dazzling images from the recent National Day of Monaco, you immediately realize this is not just another royal appearance. It is a real spectacle where every detail matters. But today, I want to tell you a story that unfolded not only at the gala evening, but also the day before it. The day before the main celebration, there was a solemn ceremony of presenting the insignia of the Order of Cultural Merit. Princess Caroline, wearing a strict, deep burgundy suit, presented the award to her younger sister Stéphanie. The moment itself was symbolic. Stéphanie was elevated to the rank of commander for her contribution to the cultural life of the principality. Prince Albert was present, as well as Stéphanie's children, Louis Ducruet and Camille Gottlieb. The cameras were clicking, everything followed protocol. And then the sisters embraced. And this is where the most interesting part begins, because that hug became a rare and very warm moment that viewers had not seen in a very long time. When I first saw these photographs, my first thought was, it has been so long since we saw Caroline and Stéphanie together in such an informal gesture. Body language experts, of course, immediately began analyzing every millimeter of that hug, noting the slight formality of the moment, which is natural with so many cameras around, and pointing out the lack of the ease that usually exists between close sisters. Yes, Stéphanie looks a little focused, which is completely understandable at an official ceremony. Her gaze seems directed more at the medal than at her sister, and you can sense a certain restraint in her posture, which is natural for such a formal moment. But let us be honest, when you are standing in front of dozens of cameras, when every gesture will be magnified and analyzed, when you are receiving an award from your older sister in the presence of your brother, the prince, it is difficult to be completely relaxed and natural, is it not? Personally, I see something more than simple formality in that hug. It is a step toward each other, a desire to show family unity at a time when the principality is celebrating 20 years of Albert's reign. And does it not say something that the next day, at the actual National Day celebration, the atmosphere was absolutely warm and family-like? The younger generation of the Grimaldi family, including Beatrice Borromeo, who, by the way, made her first public appearance after the birth of her third child, and Charlotte Casiraghi in a stunning yellow tweed suit, and Camille Gottlieb in a stylish burgundy dress with a belt and incredibly cool sunglasses, all of them radiated this sense of togetherness. But let us return to our princesses and to the gala evening, which became a true triumph of elegance and historical continuity. Caroline chose a light blue gown with sequin-embroidered sleeves and wore the ribbon of the Order of St. Charles. But the real stars of her look were the earrings, diamond knots with large cushion-cut diamonds hanging like drops of morning dew. These earrings have a very special history, and I simply cannot help but tell it, because it captures the essence of royal heritage. Most likely, these jewels come from the collection of Caroline's grandmother, Princess Charlotte, Duchess of Valentinois, and were presumably acquired from Cartier. Caroline began wearing them back in the 1980s, often pairing them with the Cartier tiara with pearl drops, which had been a wedding gift to Princess Charlotte. One of the most memorable appearances in these earrings took place in 1996 at the banquet for the 50th birthday of the King of Sweden, Carl Gustaf, when Caroline complimented them with both the tiara and a diamond fringe necklace. The look was simply breathtaking. And what truly moved me about her choice to wear these earrings at this year's gala is that 20 years ago, when Albert ascended the throne, Caroline stood by his side wearing these very diamonds. It is such a beautiful symbol of continuity, family memory, and loyalty to tradition. Over these 2 decades, the earrings also appeared at the wedding gala of the Grand Duke of Luxembourg, Guillaume, and Countess Stéphanie de Lannoy in 2012, and at the Rose Ball in Monaco in 2015. Every time they tell the same story about the women of the House of Grimaldi, about their strength, grace, and the unbreakable connection between generations. Watching this family, I become more and more convinced that behind the glamour and the protocol smiles, there is genuine warmth in their relationships. Yes, Caroline and Stephanie are very different women. Caroline has always been more reserved, attached to tradition, the embodiment of royal dignity. Stephanie chose her own path, freer and more independent, which was sometimes perceived differently by the public. But do differences necessarily mean distance? I do not think so. What we saw at that award ceremony and then at the celebration tells a completely different story. It is a story about sisters who, despite their different life paths, remain a family, who support each other in important moments, who celebrate their brothers' achievements together and rejoice in the successes of the younger generation. Just look at how harmonious they all looked together at the morning festivities of National Day, when they greeted the crowd from the balcony of the Prince's Palace. There was no stiffness or awkwardness. It was a family united by shared history and shared responsibility toward its people. For me, this entire National Day became a reminder that royal families are, above all, people. With their joys and sorrows, with their complicated relationships and moments of reconciliation, with their desire to preserve traditions while also moving with the times. That hug between Caroline and Stephanie, even if not perfectly natural on camera, was real. Those family appearances where each woman finds a way to express her individuality while remaining part of the whole were real. And those heirloom jewels passed from generation to generation, telling stories of love, loss, and triumph, are absolutely real as well.